Hey, what's up, John?
What's up?
I got to lean in with the dad joke
like
line.
it.
Yeah. Well, hey, folks, we're here with Jon Zalar of IWTG Consulting out of Greenville, South Carolina. And you just made the trip across the country and the drive from LA. That is a long day.
There's a lot of cars on the road.
There's a lot of cars.
A lot of cars.
The 405 in LA is no joke.
It was terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you gave me your update, and I'm like, oh, the map shot you out to the desert and around.
Yeah, but going back won't be bad. So
no,
I hope not.
It's better. It's better outside of working hours for sure.
No, but like before you get here, coming through those mountains, like last time I was here, I came the other way. This way was awesome. Like through up by Alta and.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you drove through Mojave and you came up this side of the mountain pass. So you got to see all the old wind turbines.
Oh, it was awesome. Yeah.
It's neat.
And those old ones are still running, like little fast ones.
They're still running.
Yeah.
There's still who was out here a while ago? It's Gio.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was at GE with us for a while. Took him back there, and yeah, he saw the crane changing on a generator on a turbine that's been there probably since the late 80s. And he went, they still fix them?
Yeah, they still run.
They're still running.
So they don't even have to pitch, right? They're fixed.
No, those don't.
Yeah. A lot less stuff to break.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're still running. People are still taking care of them. So clearly still good money makers up here. And it feels like a bit of a museum. So it's neat to see.
Yeah, it's like the birthplace of wind, right?
The birthplace of wind. Yeah. I mean, one of the first places, I think it's the first place with utility scale wind turbines.
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant too. Yeah.
How I would say it. I haven't heard anybody prove that wrong. So I think this is the spot.
Yeah.
Have you been here before?
Yeah. I managed the validation team for a while. So I came here when GE had people here.
And was that still the building out in the manufacturing facility?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a cool building. They did a lot of cool things there.
It's still being used. Airstreams.
Oh, they bought it?
Airstreams Renewables. They're a training institute.
Oh, right. Okay.
So it's a school. What they do is they focus on helping folks transitioning from military into renewables and telecom. So they have dorms there, the classrooms. They go and live there.
Because it used to be a military base too, wasn't it?
No. That the lower building.
Yeah.
Was built by. Built by Zondenron, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right. Trying to think about the year, about 99-ish. And then in 2000, yeah, I'm trying to think, boy, the Enron bought Taka as well.
Right.
So the original 1.5 came over. And then through the bankruptcy, GE bought the asset and we went to town manufacturing wind turbines there.
I was working on locomotives then, but they used Erie, Pennsylvania as like where to build the gearboxes. So like my first lean black belt Kaizen workout was on gearboxes for wind turbines at the locomotive facility.
What year was this?
2004, 5, something around then.
It's when GE started coming up with their own design.
Yes, that's when I believe that gearbox was the one that spun backwards. If you remember the SLEs, I think there were like Winergy, and then the GE one I think spun backwards, so you had different parameters.
At the output?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember that, but yeah, no, I was working in the locomotive rock in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Which they modeled the one in Schenectady off of. But when they had a spare building, so they were doing the or life cycle testing of the gearboxes, and they hooked 2 of them up with a shaft, and they were just running while I was, remotely troubleshooting locomotives. So yeah, that's when I first saw wind.
That's awesome. That was 2004, you said?
So you graduated college in 2002, and then 2003 because I liked college.
Was that during OMLP then?
Yes, that was one of my rotations in OMLP. So yeah, that had to be 2004 or 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Another program. OMLP. Operation
Management Leadership Program.
Operation Management Leadership Program. No, somebody else was talking about those programs. Was it good for you?
So I guess I'll go through the history. So I started working at GE when I was like 19.
You're going to do the What's Up career discussion.
Oh, I guess.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Time. Yeah. So I was a sophomore in college, and it's Gannon in Erie, Pennsylvania, and a bunch of people worked at GE. So I got a job as a summer intern that turned into like co-op through the whole 4 years of my undergrad. Then I actually applied for the Edison program and didn't get in, and decided I liked college, so I went back to college again and got an MBA. But I was still allowed to work as an intern and co-op while I got my MBA, so it kind of paid for it. And then I got on the OMLP program.
Okay.
And the kind of like difference between the two was like, one's a little more manufacturing based, and the other one was definitely heavily focused more on engineering, but they also had a lot of homework. So the OMLPs, had to run shifts pretty much, but the Edisons had to do all their stuff and then some homework. But
I see.
That's a little difference.
Okay. All right. Then OMLP transitioned into?
I was a technical director in Cumberland, Maryland. So I was first job off program. I was running a third shift locomotive repair line for CSX.
Okay. Transportation.
Yep.
Maryland.
Yeah. It was fun. I mean, most kids growing up love locomotives. So like I actually got to go work on them and see them, move them around every once in a while. So yeah, it was fun.
I bet it was.
Yeah. And then from there, I went to Ashland, Kentucky, which is another locomotive shop, or was a locomotive shop. And I ran a warehouse. Then I was like the black belt for the whole CSX contract.
Oh, black belt training too.
Yeah. So I was like a certified black belt. So I would have to like run lean events at all 5 of the CSX shops to go like make the lines go faster.
You really did like school.
I guess. Yeah. Yeah. And then a couple of my buddies were in transportation, actually up in Selkirk, New York, and they went over to wind. So then I was kind of like, there's not a lot of good locations for locomotives. I had a kid at the time. I'm kind of like, all right, where do we want to move? And like met the right person at the right time. And I'm in Greenville, South Carolina. Just like that.
Just like that.
Yeah. That's probably when we met, around that time. Probably.
Okay. So is this like 2008, 10?
2008 or 9, because I think I sold a house during the bubble bursting for housing.
Oh, okay.
But then bought one in Greenville. Yeah. So
Okay.
right around then. Yeah. My first job in wind was senior engineer for services when GE decided to start selling aftermarket products for wind turbines.
2010.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Well, I think we had some services, but it really started to boom
Right. We're
around
like
that time.
I like there's a lot of field service engineers come up with like solutions for things, but nothing was really like offered to everybody, right? Because the field service engineers are just fixing the problems, doing what they can. Maybe they told their buddy about it, but GE wanted to go, hey, let's go do this. And then, the software upgrades like Wind Boost and stuff like that. So that was kind of that's where I kind of started in wind.
Okay. I worked on Wind Boost. We were trying to find the program where we started working together. I worked on Wind Boost.
And then it was called Power Up.
Yep.
And I'm doing a deal right now, actually analyzing a Power Up to see if it made the AP that they think it did.
Yep.
Which is full circle for me because I was part of the development of that.
I would have been your field partner because
Yes.
I went out and turned up the first one.
That makes sense. That's
Yep.
probably where, yeah.
Yeah. Iowa.
What site was that?
Well, that I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I'm sure
There's
it was
so
in
many of
Iowa.
them now.
Yeah, I'm sure it was in Iowa. Yeah, that's hard to remember all those little bits. We'd like to thank our sponsors, 3S Lift, a global supplier of safety and access solutions with a focus on wind energy. Their innovative ladder-mounted single technician lift called the Climb Auto System completely eliminates the need to climb ladders up to 120 meters. And if you've ever climbed in the freezing cold of North Dakota or the sweltering heat of South Texas, you know the safety and efficiency value that this product brings to wind technicians and owner-operators. In North America, 3S has installed over 15,000 of these lifts and are installing 200 per week. If your site is still climbing, you should contact 3S Lift at info@3samericas.com to get your quote to retrofit your turbines, or go on their website, 3slift.com, to learn more. And then you stayed at GE 10, 12, 13 years? What are we at?
22.
22. Oh, in renewables, excuse me.
Oh, renewables like 12 or 13.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so like from services, then I went to the systems team for like, no, did I do validation first? Forgot. Did systems, which was like, the end of the 127 design cycle and then the start of the Sierra. I did validation before. No, I don't remember.
That's all right.
But the validation team was, I was in charge of like Lubbock, where we had 2 or 3 test turbines.
Yeah.
We had the 116, the 127, and we were building the Sierra.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
You were working with the testing team. You got to see a lot of data and trials.
Yes.
On several wind turbine components.
Yeah, and like we had a facility here in Tehachapi,
right?
Which we had like all the techs that did like crazy stuff, installation of sensors all over the place, and like everyone's like, oh, just go put a strain gauge on it, but like no, it's not that. Like it's like a art.
Yep.
Be able to do that, and then getting that data back, and actually coupled with the turbine data takes a lot of effort, a lot more than a lot of people think.
I don't think I've heard that before, but I agree. It's an art, running trials and tests and interpreting and analyzing the data.
Right. I mean, yeah, you put a sensor on a blade, the blade's spinning. How do you get power to it? All right, figure that out. All right, now you got all this data, but you're in the hub. But there's no wire, so you have to figure out how to get it out. So that validation team, they did some really amazing stuff that's still used today.
Yes, they did. Okay. Now I'm starting to understand then the transition and jump into launching your own business.
Well, the RCA part, my last job at GE.
Yeah. Okay. But still testing data and finding new ways to gather it is a huge advantage.
Yeah, no, I've had a couple contracts or deals with like some other companies putting on third-party sensors, and then kind of using my experience with like the operating of a turbine to kind of, does this make sense that you're seeing these type of loads versus like what the turbine's doing? Like, I don't know, it's fun to do. It's not a lot of people who like to do it either. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's fun for you then.
Yeah. Well, someone's got to do it.
We need people doing it.
Hopefully someone does it. Yeah.
That's right. Okay. So I missed it. Then you went into RCA.
Yeah. So like GE decided to like form a whole org for RCAs, and I ran the systems team for it, which systems for the people listening is just like a little bit of everything. Yeah, I know a little bit of control, a little bit of loads, a little bit of mechanical, like not so much an expertise in everything, but you got to understand how the whole thing fits together.
The whole system works together.
Yep.
I don't think I understood that when I was at GE. That's the best explanation
I still don't
that I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like,
explanation.
Well, if you look up systems engineering, you immediately just see IT jobs and like to go put in routers and stuff, where like GE's definition of a system engineer is different.
Right.
Yeah. It's kind of like a little bit like a quarterback, but you really need to take in everything that's going on and make the decisions.
Sure. It makes sense though. Tailored to the systems that they're designing and manufacturing.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And then you went into independent consulting.
Yeah. Then I kind of decided to go on my own, and, part of the RCA job was, helping basically explain to customers why these issues are going on and what's being done about it. And does not seem to be a ton of that knowledge base outside of the OEMs, right? Although we're seeing some of that spread out finally, and I think that's great for the industry. So what I did for my consulting company, this kind of started with, all right, I'll go help customer A, customer B, kind of like understand some of their problems that they have, but then also like, hey, how should we actually like run our site? Like what faults should we be looking at? What's important? So I had a lot of experience with databasing. Like my first job at GE back when I was 19 or 20 was a Access 98 database that was like keeping most of the alternators, like they knew where the parts were. So like I started with that stuff. So now it's kind of like combining a lot of things together.
Access database. I forgot about that piece.
Oh yeah. And I got phone call. I'm in college. I'm getting these phone calls about like, hey, this thing's not working. I'm like, oh, okay. They gave me a laptop back then.
Yeah.
That's unheard of.
Right?
Yeah.
56K modem.
They actually gave me a 3G cell modem.
Okay. All right.
So I
wasn't that old.
I was going on soccer trips. I played college soccer, and like I'd have my laptop just in case.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You were on call right from the beginning.
It took a couple months, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, these facilities, like, it's one of the first G facilities. They made like refrigerators there, and the alternators were made on machines that were retrofitted, but they still use tape for the programming.
Wow.
So I don't know if you've ever seen, no, cards actually. They had cards and tapes for some of the programming, which is bonkers. Like I didn't understand it. And like all these little holes are punched, and that's like how they make the part.
No, I don't think I've seen that.
Yeah.
Like maybe a movie.
Yeah. So I was in that movie apparently. In Erie, Pennsylvania in the snow.
In Erie, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
In the snow. All right. You have a broad knowledge base and experience then on systems, data analytics.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about the RCAs, maybe the passion, but I want to touch on something you said during the career piece when you were in Erie, Pennsylvania, working on trains. How you said something about that was cool and being a little kid.
Yeah. Like,
And maybe you had the train toys, or you saw the trains, or it's.
oh, I mean, I was a dork. I had Legos. I had trains. My uncle, half his basement was a complete train set, like full the whatever the H class one. So like, yeah, that was a really cool job.
Trains were cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. It started to make me think because we got to plug our friend Joe Chacon. He wrote a book back here.
Yeah, I love Joe.
Yeah, of course. But the passion came somewhat similar, right? Where how do you get kids more interested into wind turbines, maybe solar and things like that, and renewable power? And it compared to trains. And how did trains become toys? I don't know.
I mean,
But wind turbines could be toys too.
I mean, the first things that were moving people across the country. So like if you see a steam locomotive back then, it was probably like the coolest thing you saw for like 4 months.
Yeah.
Besides the wagon.
Right. But now as adults, besides the wagon, but now as adults, you drive up here and you see all these old wind turbines and you have, I mean, it brings back that childhood amazement, right? That, seeing the technology from, I guess, 40 some years ago
right
to now, and it still brings that sense of wonder.
And pictures do not do it justice.
No.
Which is a tough part because the
Yeah.
wind turbines, the wind turbines are not like located in a very popular area or populated areas, put it that way.
Yeah.
So I can see Joe's concern, but it's tough to get. I mean, in Greenville, South Carolina, is the engineering headquarters. The closest wind park is like 8-hour drive, probably in West Virginia, my guess. There's no wind in the South.
Yeah. West Virginia's got maybe 2 or 3 sites too. It's
Yeah,
not a lot.
Not a lot, but like that's the closest wind turbine you can get to from Greenville, I think.
We should get more Greenville engineers to take this drive.
The drive I took was awesome. Like you should make people take that one versus the other way on the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's been occurring to me as folks have been traveling in to do this podcast that are just loving that drive. And I've been able to go on it with a few folks and other folks I couldn't, but, give direction. And it brings back some sort of childhood, I don't know, sense of wonder. I'm looking for the right phrase, but, amazement and maybe some ideas pop up.
Yeah, no, it's just, I don't know. It's awesome to go see that. And it's, I've been to a couple of wind farms part of my consulting, but this one on the mountains is pretty cool. Like this is a unique view for sure.
Yeah. I got to climb some of the early Vestas turbines and do maintenance and repairs and lattice towers, no pitch, right? Fixed pitch, but the tips would deploy as the aero braking function. So that,
like spring loaded or something?
Yep.
Okay.
Centrifugal force. So if it's going too fast, it pulls
yeah.
and then it kicks 90 degrees.
Okay.
And then to straighten them, you climb up the tower and literally kick it.
So when it shuts down for overspeed, you had to climb?
Yes.
That seems, yeah.
Yeah. Storms had come through and it was flap kicking party for everyone on deck. Climb and kick flaps.
Wow.
Still happening. Some of those turbines are still running.
Is the space frame tower still here?
Still here.
Is it still lit up at night?
Oh, I don't think it's lit up at night, but
Okay.
I don't know. I do know the folks. We got some new folks now, another company involved, taking care of it, owning it, and servicing it. And they've been doing a lot of work to get it running again.
I mean, that thing was a big experiment, all sorts. I mean, it's the most unique turbine there is.
Goal is to get it running. And I don't know when. Maybe we'll bug our friends over there to see where they're at. But I know they had to do a lot of work on the electrical infrastructure as well. Not just the turbine, but the electrical infrastructure at the interconnect.
Yeah. I remember that actually. Okay.
Yeah. So, no, they're working on it, and we should see it running again. And then all those students coming to Airstreams will get to see that one running someday as well.
Well, I mean, I think the students just coming here is got to be awesome. Like that, they got to be excited when they drive to work or drive to class.
Yeah. They certainly get to see the opportunity.
Yep.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, Altair Energy Services, and their highly trained, expert technical staff, leveraging decades of renewable power management experience into customized solutions for everyone to meet their energy goals and contribute to a better future for all. Altair's team of hardworking, respected experts are providing full-scope, turnkey repairs, planned and unplanned maintenance, system upgrades, fully autonomous technical crews, supplemental staffing, and customized dynamic scheduling to fit your power production needs. Contact Altair at info@altairenergyservices.com and learn more about their wide range of capabilities across multiple power technologies and platforms. I get to talk with some of them, just seeing around town. And I don't visit too often, a few tours here and there, but, I see them around town. And the one, they all come out, and the one common thing is they're looking to get hired as a technician, right? That seems to be very common. Either telecom or wind. I think mostly wind, but it is the other field that's requiring a lot of technical labor.
Yep. And climbing and
sure, similar safety process skill sets.
Yep. And
what I've been noticing is I start talking about some of the other jobs at a company they might be looking at. Who are you interviewing with? Who have you talked to? And then I'll tell them a little bit more about that company and what else they do and a few extra jobs. And that's one of the reasons I try and promote the career discussion bit on the podcast, for just awareness. And I found that they don't always know that there are all these other job types, right? It could be engineering, but, maybe more like me where I got to support engineers in the field, right? So a little field engineering kind of experience. Safety, clearly management, directors, quality control, quality assurance, safety. Yep. That are out there that, we do our best on the podcast to keep promoting that awareness, but I get to do it in town. And, when you talk face to face and you see those, it's sort of the eyes light up, and wow, I had no idea it was all these other, yes. Once you get started, the career path, it opens up.
There's so many, it's growing so fast.
You see behind the curtain, real time. And you get introduced to these people and see what they do, how they do it. Is it of an interest or not? But you still get to network and work together. And, what I heard about your career piece, you're at General Electric, as was I for 21 years. It was easy if you're at that big company or a similar big company to move and do different job types and work on different equipment. You
Right.
are already seeing behind the curtain, so to speak.
And they had a lot of career, just like the OMLP program. Like there was probably 10, 20 hours of like just career development, like coaching and like understanding what other people have done in their careers. They bring people in and talk about how they made the step from here to here. Yeah. So like most big companies have a lot of that. And it's also easier to see like in org charts and stuff like that, where I could see someone that you meet on the street that's, in a classroom probably doesn't really understand how some of these companies' orgs actually look.
Right. Right. And I hope the companies never stop doing it. The big companies never stop doing it. And, so anyway, that's, we promote then out in the outside of these big companies to try and share the same information. So I appreciate you doing that. And it is always a treat to go and talk to some of those students. If you ever get a chance, stop into one of these schools.
Yeah.
See if you can share a little bit of that.
And I think a good thing I'm seeing, not just in wind, but other areas, is the requirement of a engineering degree from an accredited college is slowly going away, right?
I've seen that as well.
And I think that's really good because, some people's careers just don't have that time to go spend 4 years in college, and they could be brilliant individuals, come up with great solutions, and can contribute better than people with the degree. And I'm hoping that continues because it's good to see.
It agreed. So I've noticed a lot of companies, even the IT ones you picked up, pulling those degree requirements off of their job postings.
Yeah, I think they're probably the ones that led that effort.
You're right. They probably led it. And that may be 7-9 years old. I mean, it might be.
Yeah. But like I'm seeing like major manufacturing companies, like in lieu of college degree, 8 years of experience, something like that. And I think that's going to do really good for a lot of companies.
Right.
A lot of industries.
I do too. I love it. And the experience comes by getting started with one of these good companies, and then just sort of sharing your passion. You get the opportunity. Any manager worth their salt's going to give that person that work if they see the
Right.
passion for
Yeah,
it,
exactly.
right? And the skill set. So it's an easy decision in house, and now that person gets to build their resume,
The resume and then their career, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, I didn't start with college. I went straight to work as a kid. So a different career path. But yours, you went business. You said MBA?
Yeah, I got my MBA.
Right. And then into
Then in the OMLP.
engineering.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I was more like field service because it was more like, running a shop floor, right? So there was definitely engineering behind it because you're making decisions on, do you change this power assembly on the diesel or not, stuff like that. But it was not like an engineering job. Like I wasn't designing stuff in that position.
Right. Analytics, data analysis, those things are easy crossover to shorten the learning curve from business into engineering.
Yeah, I mean, I know some people who used to work for me watch this. Like I kind of like wanted everybody to be able to, that worked for me, be able to pull your own data and do like the high level analysis. If we needed to bring in some other people that are like really good at it, but I wanted everyone to at least appreciate how hard it is to sometimes get the data, but be able to do it themselves and be able to look themselves.
Objectively.
Yep.
Objectively. And I've noticed it always takes several people to ask and sort of poke questions at the data in order to sometimes get the truth out of it.
Yeah. And when you're looking at large data sets, if you can massage the data, cut the data, and you can sometimes come up with the answer you want. So it's good to have multiple people looking at stuff like that, so you're not as biased.
Right. Removes the bias.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You saw the opportunity. You kept jumping. I love that it started with the passion on trains.
Yep.
And then you see a gearbox. Well, that's cool.
That was, I mean, that was when wind, that was I didn't know much about wind, but that was kind of like when it started growing really, really fast. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then, I had some friends that went over and they were there for, I don't know, 6 months or a year. They're like, oh yeah, this is fun. I'm like, okay, let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe we need some wind turbine gearbox toys for the kids.
Yeah.
Right.
I keep buying them Legos.
Yeah.
Well, I like Legos, so
Makes sense. Yeah, you're a builder.
I'm building an Atari Lego right now. I got for my birthday.
An Atari Lego?
Yeah, it looks like an Atari.
Okay.
Yeah,
You do like Legos.
I guess I do.
I would love to have an Atari again.
My parents still have mine.
Oh my goodness.
I need to get it back.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'd like to take this time to thank another one of our wonderful sponsors, Podge Engineering. Podge Engineering, making wind and solar all we know it can be. Are your renewable energy assets underperforming or not performing at all? Did you expect many years of longevity and they're failing on you now? Podge LLC offers many customized, engineered products and solutions to get these assets back on track. Podge Engineering also performs root cause analysis, engineering services, procurement, and construction. Visit podge.org. That's PADGE.org. Remember Podge, making wind and solar all we know it can be.
Independent wind turbine,
Consulting.
IWTG Consulting. I won't mess
Not
this up
very
again.
creative. It was just one of those things when I was kind of like, should I go do this or should I go look for jobs? I'm like, screw it. And I had to come up with a name because to get the LLC. And that one came up.
It makes sense. People understand what it is when they read it.
Yes. Although it's not the easiest thing to say though.
No, but it's clear when you read it.
Yes.
We understand what you do.
Yeah.
All right. A couple years now?
Still under 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So like January-ish will be 2 years.
January's anniversary.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
How's it been?
It's been good. It's definitely a roller coaster though. Like, I know you might agree, but like, all right, you have a lot of work to do. You're feeling great. This is a great decision I made for me and my family. And then you're like, oh crap, I got nothing to, I'm like waiting on a contract, waiting on something. And like working with these big corporations, they don't move very fast and they don't pay you very fast either.
No.
But I'm really happy I did what I did. It's still exciting. And there is always fun stuff. And I'm always like solving problems, that's what I really like to do. And there's always something that's not working the way it should. So it keeps me busy.
I love that. I have a similar passion for solving problems. Not in your same area, but I get it.
Yeah.
It keeps you going, right?
I mean, it could be something simple like a Python code that's not doing what you want it to do. And you're like, all right, I need to go figure this out. Or it's like a problem with a wind farm, go figure that out too. But I don't know. That's what I enjoy doing.
I love that you said the Python code was a simple thing to solve.
No, well, it should be simple, but it's not.
Yeah. No. No, I don't understand that at all. So
Yeah.
yeah, right.
It is something that I think, especially if you're early in your career, that you should go learn. Because I think it's, you expect everyone back in the day to know Excel, to know pivot tables as basics, right? I think Python is kind of like that next thing where, especially with the larger data sets everyone has now, like you should be able to go do that.
Interesting.
Like, I don't think MATLAB is like a requirement. Like my kids are what, almost 14 and almost 16, and both their computer program classes are doing a little bit on Python. So I thought that was interesting. So I think it's great. I think everyone should go take a class online if they got nothing to do.
That makes sense. My classes were in DOS.
Fortran 77,
Okay.
which is about the same.
You're about the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone's asked me if I remember DOS prompts anymore. A few came to mind, but
Oh yeah.
probably not so many.
There's still a couple.
I'm just trying to figure out how to use AI now on the internet.
So
Jacob's
I
laughing.
use,
He uses this all the time. I'm still trying to figure it out and not be, I don't know. It feels like I'm being hacked every time I use it.
it is a
Not sure.
it's a very powerful tool if it's used correctly. So like I do have the paid ChatGPT, and like that Python thing I was just talking about. You can feed it what you wrote and be like, hey, this isn't working, fix it, or basically, yeah, fix it. They'll spit it back out, but you still need to understand it because it's not always going to be right. So, but it does help you go there. And I think like a lot of people are using it for like some, baseline report generation. So you get like the background, you get the right things lined up, and then you fill that information in. I think that's that's the best way to use it, at least for what I'm doing.
I love that it can be used for any type of design work. I haven't tried that. I work a lot with documentation, right? Short contracts, maybe even big ones.
Try have it write a contract for you. You'll be happy because you don't have to do much.
I did ask it I've done 2 short ones. I did one with Jacob. We went over this on a licensing agreement or something we were doing.
Yeah.
But then also processes and procedures. I mean, I've prided myself on being able to write those contracts and processes, procedures, and being a good writer, right? A technical writer, maybe in a business sense, and now I don't need that skill anymore. And it was a bit of an eye opener, but I do love it.
Right.
It made it in like minutes versus hours, and it was done.
Yeah. But you also still need to know what you know to be able to look at it and make sure they didn't mess up. Because
There's always a few edits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like for like math for my daughter, so she's taking algebra, and I'm like, oh, ChatGPT can help you with this problem. And she's like, well, sometimes we just take a picture with whatever thing they have and it tells the answer. I go, well, no. If you ask ChatGPT, help me solve this problem and explain it to me, it will like kind of teach how to solve the problem, which I think is way better than just getting the answer, showing a little graph or whatever.
I had no idea. And that's ChatGPT. There's several of them out there. Folks around my life are encouraging me to do more of this. And then someone was on talking about, the need for power, and all this AI going out there needs more power as well. So it keeps us employed. Yes.
Well, like if you
continue to power,
and if you ask it a very like a complicated problem, or like if you upload a really complicated formula or something like that, like it will take a few seconds and it's thinking or searching better, whatever it is. Like it's not a canned answer. Like when you Google, you get the same 5
top search results, right, or whatever.
Yeah. So like you can tell it's actually doing something. It's not building robots or anything, but it's like a really good search engine.
Yeah.
Like the way it should have been.
I'm coming around. It felt sci-fi to me, and every sci-fi software robot movie I watched ended badly. So I wanted to
You think a Terminator probably?
Yeah. I don't know if a good one. Yeah. So, but no, we're getting into it. Okay. I love that you're using that too. It makes you a stronger professional for consulting if you can go quicker through some of the data to find the solutions for your customers.
Yeah, and I used to promote this with my teams. We're like, all right, if you think you're going to do something like 2 or 3 times, go spend the extra hour, 2 hours to go automate it for the next time.
Yeah.
So like ChatGPT helps with that as well, but like just thinking farther along, especially with some of the analytics I do in my consulting, I'm like, all right, if someone else wants this or wants to expand on it, maybe I should spend a little extra time just to, set it up to be done quicker the next time.
You said earlier, how much you loved school. That clearly hasn't changed. Your passion for learning new information.
I love school. I love college.
You loved So we'll have to clarify this.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
All right. Well, you certainly, have a passion for continuing to learn.
Yeah, I do. Yes.
Yeah. This makes sense on where you're at. Okay, so now you're digging into what some of the OEMs or owner operators are having trouble with.
Owner operators.
Yeah,
those are, I think 100% of my clients.
100%. Makes sense. So it's outside of the warranty period, right? They're on their own.
Yeah, or there's been a couple end of warranty things I've been helping with too.
Okay.
Kind of like which ones should they be more worried about, especially on some of the products I'm familiar with.
Yeah. No, this is the sweet spot for the owner operator, right? Now they get to take, control of their own future with their assets.
And a lot of them don't have huge engineering teams because they didn't need to. They had a warranty, so they had GE's, 1,200, whatever, 2,000 engineers to go help them basically. But now that they don't have that, and there seems to be some gaps, and that's why I try to fill as kind of like acting like the owner's engineer for like some of the technical problems.
Do you see problems in that phase of the power plant that you never saw or wouldn't have seen working at the OEM? Or do you see more similarities?
I don't know. Ask that question again differently.
I'll tell you an example. earlier this year with an owner operator. They were telling me about a problem, and Adam, have you seen these before? And I'm listening to it, and I'm looking, their failure modes. I said no, and I've never seen rates like that. I'm not familiar with, maybe 2 of the 5 failure modes that they listed, and they teased me a little bit because of where I spent most of my career, like I should have known. And but the truth is, those failures weren't happening until much longer in their life.
Right.
Right. So, I wasn't going to see it.
And
So I had that experience, and I wonder, is that common? Are you seeing something similar?
yes, so I see a little bit of both. I see stuff like I knew about or familiar with back when I was at GE, but there's also like some newer things happening, and a lot of it is age-based, right? Mm-hmm. So they are getting, 10, 12, 14 years old, where GE's not going to see that all the time, right? Or any of the OEMs. So yeah, there are some newer problems coming, but that first 2 years, a lot of the big things that are going to go wrong usually go wrong.
Sure.
I mean, there's not a ton of problems that are an actual fatigue problem, right? There's usually a manufacturing defect, a material defect, something like that usually is why you have a crack or something broke, right? Mm-hmm. But with the number of turbines out there at the ages they are now, like there will be some fatigue failures that people just weren't aware of.
Right. No, I've just sort of transitioned into, okay, nobody wants a problem. But when it's a new problem, it is a time I'm trying to find the positive spin on it, a little bit of a silver lining, because, you get to celebrate the fact that now a new solution can be put into place
Right.
to extend that asset's life.
Yep.
Right. And probably, if you're sharing the information, doing well with what you have, prevent others
Yes.
that are coming.
And then you start catching them early.
And you get to catch them early. So we get to really celebrate the problem because, that was tough to get through, but we also get to prevent the next ones.
Right. Like a 2-day blade repair versus either blade replacement or a week-long campaign, right?
Right.
You want the 1-day, 2-day blade repair.
Yeah. Yeah. I've enjoyed that. Big problems were always very stressful.
Right.
at the OEM. And now there's a new way to look at it, I think. And so many folks now going out on their own, like you did, get to really help and put in those stopgap measures or process improvement or inspect early, do this repair instead of the new blade.
Right. I think just for the industry itself, that the number of like OEM focused people are now, there's a good number that are now no longer there, right? So that knowledge base is starting to spread more. I think that's great for the industry.
Yeah, great for the industry, 100%. That's what I was trying to get at. I try to stay away from, any of the negative pieces really and focus on them.
Yeah.
When we talk about RCAs, I mean, you're thinking about a failure, but really you should celebrate the fact that you get to come up with the solution and the stopgap measure.
Right. And, ideally, you figure out the problem, you figure out how to fix it, but you also figure out what went wrong so you don't do it again.
Right.
Like that feedback loop at the end is really important.
Mm-hmm. Does it get fed back to the OEMs?
Yeah, it does. Like, I mean,
Okay.
From what I've been seeing, like even some of the ones that are no longer on warranty, they are working with the OEMs, and that's great because then it does get fed back into like, all right, hey, our next design, we need to go look at this, right? I mean, like that. Most of the design reviews are like, hey, did you look at all the old problems, and are you going to do this again or not, right? And that's like one of the first things some of the chief engineers ask. So
some obvious questions.
Yeah.
And that's why they're the chief.
That's why they're the chief. Yeah.
Let's thank our friends over at Renew Safety, your proactive partner in safety solutions. With comprehensive safety consulting, ensuring compliance with all safety regulations and standards. Expert staffing solutions, providing trained safety professionals tailored to your project's needs. Commitment to sustainability, promoting a safe and sustainable working environment. Contact Renew Safety at info@renewsafety.com and speak to one of their industry experts about their proven track record for safety management on numerous projects. Or perhaps you're looking for construction, safety staffing, contractor monitoring, incident investigation, or program development and training. Check out Renew Safety at renewsafety.com.
How was it? Tell me about launching your own business and going out on your own. What was that experience like?
It was, I don't know. There's like so many times you're just like doubting yourself, like, should I have done this? Should I not? And then one of my friends was like, well, if you're not nervous about what you're doing, then you're probably not doing the right thing. You should be a little scared. I'm like, all right, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I was lucky that I kind of knew I had the first customer ready, right?
Good.
So that part, when I knew I had that made it a little easier to make the decision.
Sure. No, you had your reputation, you had your professional contacts and
Yeah.
relationships with folks,
Yes.
right? So that helps. It helps. It doesn't get rid of the nerves and a little bit of fear. And, even your friends aren't going to hire you without you proving yourself,
Correct.
right?
Right.
And they might even be a little tougher on you.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah. Because then their reputation's on the line a little bit too. Am I going to recommend my friend? Is he going to do a good job?
Yeah. And like I guess one of the good feelings I'm getting out of what I'm doing is like, I am getting business from recommendations from other people.
Oh,
so like,
that's great.
When that happens, you're like, oh, okay. I mean, I thought I did a good job. They told me I did a good job, but did they really think I did? And that kind of like, I figure that kind of proves it.
And they're telling their other colleagues about it.
Yeah.
Right. That's the best way. And that it's so common in this industry. I always find that funny how large this industry is. How many companies, how many people, how many products, and it still is so much word of mouth. So much word of mouth.
Yes. And there's also not a ton of sharing either.
It's tough to share.
It is tough to share. I wish there was more sharing, and I'm trying to do that when I can and, connect people from, they're not really competitors. They're still making power for people, like, trying to get that to kind of go away so they can share information and, hopefully both get better. Right.
Right.
I mean, I know there's some organizations in the industry that are trying to do that too. I think there's more room to do better.
Mm-hmm. So many things are proprietary. So many things are, secret sauce kind of bits.
Right.
That, but there's some ways to share, go down this path.
Right.
Right. Here's not the answer, but head down this path.
Yep.
Okay. I think you're talking more about design and technology, but you're also a business owner. You're a salesman.
Yeah, I'm a boss for myself and an accountant.
Boss for an accountant, HR department.
Yeah. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's the other side of just marketing and advertising, and it is so much word of mouth.
Yeah, and back to like, starting the consulting thing, we're like, when I was talking to my son about it, and he's like, oh, like, what's your hourly rate? I told him whatever it was. And he's like, wow, you should just work nonstop. I'm like, no, like getting one billable hour could take 4, 5, 6 hours, negotiating up front, getting a contract in place, actually getting the information to go do something for an hour. And then, there's a lot, I'm learning a lot, and it's a lot harder than people think, I think.
It is a lot harder.
Yeah.
And you might spend all that time on the proposal and negotiation, and then it never turns into a job.
Or it takes 7 months, and you thought I was gone, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, we want you to go do this now," and you're like, "Yeah, I didn't know."
And when we say now, we mean now.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And I have a good number of friends who are in sales positions, like IT sales, stuff like that, and it's fun talking to them. I'm like, "All right, hey, I know you're in sales. I am, but not really." I'm like, am I being annoying by like sending a follow-up email? Like, oh no, not at all. They had all these little things about send it on a Tuesday, throw a meeting on a Friday if they don't respond back. And I did some of these and it worked.
Yeah.
And I'm like, am I being annoying? Because I'm an engineer. I don't want to be that person, but
sure.
I probably was a little bit, but it worked.
If it worked, then it worked, right? I run similar CRM and sales metrics as well on myself. I get it. You have to study it to know. It's it's an art, but there's a science behind it.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know any of it yet. I'll be honest.
Well, you're doing great. You're staying busy. You're helping clients. I'm not gonna, we're not gonna get into the whole RCA process. That's your secret sauce, and I know you've shared that. But would you recommend other folks, engineers, to maybe do what you did?
Yeah, no, I think if you have a passion for a certain area in engineering and wind, and you think you can go provide value to customers, then yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you do need to have something set aside for a couple months not to make money, though. So you have to make sure you think that through, because it even if you had a contract day one, by the time you actually build it, invoiced it, and got paid, best case scenario is like 3 months.
Right.
Like, these big companies don't like to pay.
No, that would be stars aligning even at 3 months,
I
right?
agree.
Because you have to form this company. You have to go tell people about it. You have to bid jobs, and then at some point you get a job.
Yep.
Right. So there was probably more than a few months.
Yeah, a few months for sure.
Yeah. But you'd recommend it. It's worth it.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. I'm happy I did what I did.
Mm-hmm. No, I've been talking to other engineers, maybe different types of engineering, and folks that have gone out on their own and very happy, very similar, right? It's scary.
Yeah.
Keep moving forward.
You gotta be comfortable with the uncomfortable a little bit.
Yeah.
If you know you don't have that personality, then you might not want to do that.
I sometimes say it's not how scared or nervous you are. It's how scared or nervous can you be and keep moving forward.
Yeah. Actually, that's a better way to look at it. Yeah.
That's the metric.
Yep.
And then there's some equal offset of excitement, right?
Yes.
They're not exclusive of each other. You can be so nervous and so excited at the same time.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And do you get the same feeling when you're, presenting that solution to your client?
Yeah. It's really good when like whatever answer I come up with is pretty close to what they thought it was going to be, or even another third party did the same analysis, and you come up with kind of like the same answer. Or
okay.
Yeah, that just happened last week or 2 days ago. So
that's exciting.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So they hire maybe others or have their own internal review and
depending on the problem or what they're looking at. Like the power up, they maybe had somebody else look at it too, and didn't really they wanted someone else to look at it too. So.
Right. No, getting that third party opinion is powerful. We do it in several areas.
Yep.
We're not so much in the engineering space, but safety or process or procedure, tooling, right? These other spaces, very similar. We use third parties.
Yeah, I mean, and that's as you have smart customers, they realize that it's probably worth getting somebody else to look at some things.
Mm-hmm. Very, very, very cool. I don't know what I haven't asked you. Anything else you'd like to share?
I can't think of anything else.
Well, I think you're doing great, Jon. I love what you're doing. I know we've talked about a couple of things. I look forward to the day that we get to work on a project together.
We almost did.
Almost did.
Well,
there might be a few more almost, but we'll land one eventually.
Yes.
We'll land one eventually. And thank you so much for coming out to making the drive over the wind turbine, the wind wall.
The wind wall.
The wind wall, right? That was the old nickname. And coming up here and doing a podcast with us and sharing your story.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. This was fun.
You're welcome. And folks out there, if you're needing a great RCA engineer or an expert for your wind turbines, give IWTG Consulting, give Jon a call. All right. Thanks, Jon.
Thanks.